2 fights into your professional career. How have you found life in the paid ranks?
Oh, mate, I'm loving it. It's been amazing. I never really expected to be a professional when I was an amateur. Do you know what I mean? Or not, I say when I was an amateur. When I turned amateur, I probably did. That was the dream. But like I say, it was a dream. I've made it reality. I don't know how many people can honestly say that they're living their dreams. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy, man. Happy man.
It's something you didn't necessarily think would happen at one point.
No, not at all. I started boxing quite late on. I think I was 20 when I started boxing. I read about Jamie Cox and in the paper with Paddy, and you know what I mean. I followed it like quite closely. I read about it a lot, and I love boxing. My whole family are boxing fans. Me and my mum used to sit up till the early hours to watch Nassim Hamed, or she'd tell me old stories about Nigel Benn and the Eubanks fight. So boxing is a big thing in my family, and at 20, no, I didn't ever imagine ever boxing. I played a bit of football and basketball and every other sport in school, but never boxed ever. I just liked to watch it. I probably became quite a fan of the sport. My missus is a massive boxing fan, so yeah, it was just like a progression. From there, I went from just reading and learning about it to being sat on my ass for too long. And then my mum saying, why don't you go and try? Like, come on, like, why don't you get up? You've got the right frame for it. I think she just, I was skinny. You know what I mean? I was skinny, so why not give it a go? You're skinny and 5'10", go and have a go. So I turned up at the gym, and it just went on from there. It's like snowballed.
Your debut against Matt Seawright. Can you still remember that vividly?
Yeah, I think that'll be one of the strongest memories I ever have in my whole life. It was like, I've dreamed it. I've honestly laid in my bed at the end of a good session in the gym and imagined myself fighting professionally. Not say that exact fight against that exact opponent, but I've dreamed about being in front of my hometown, in front of my family and friends, and putting on a good performance, putting on the sort of performance that people would be proud of and I'd be proud of. Do you know what I mean? And it was great. Everything about it, right the way from the build up, the training camp, right the way through to the 6 rounds we got out on the night. I wouldn't change anything for the world. It was amazing.
What was the build up like? Presumably you were quite nervous.
Going into the fight, I think I was more nervous about the actual event than I was the fight. Like, do you know what I mean? I've had an amateur experience, and I fought quite a lot of fights in the last year of my amateur career. I think we fought maybe 10 times in something silly like 10 weeks. You know what I mean? I had a really good run of fights, and fighting became less nerve-wracking. And so I wasn't like, I was more worried about how I would perform, and I wanted people to come and see the best of me. I didn't want to go out and have a scrappy fight and people go, oh, wow, that's what you're going to expect in the next one. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to go and show people that my skills. I'm a clean boxer, and I pick shots and think about what I'm doing. I've got a boxer's brain. I study the game. Do you know what I mean? I'm a student of the game, so I wanted people to see that, and I think I managed to put it across just how much I study the game, because I was told to do certain things, work on certain shots, do certain things, and I managed to get it across in the fight, pull those things off. My coach was happy with my performance, which made me even more happy, because that's, at the end of the day, that's the person I listen to the most. So if he's happy with what we did, then I am.
Matt Seawright's a tricky customer. He was flying in with his head. Not many people, produce a good performance, against him. You must have been especially pleased with your performance.
Yeah, I don't like to watch too much of the guys that I'm fighting. As an amateur, we never watched any, so it's probably still getting used to that. Like, you sort of just turn up as an amateur. You hear, oh, this guy's had this many fights. He's got this kind of style. You turn up and you box. You boxed, and you adjust as you're going along. So the adjustments have to be a lot quicker. Whereas going into the Seawright fight, I did get to watch a little tape of him, and I could, if I had wanted to, watch him every single night. I didn't. I watched him, I think, once with my coach, once at home with my mum, and then once again with my coach in the week of the fight. So I probably watched about 18 rounds of him, because they were like 6-round fights. It might have been the same 6-round fight. I think I watched 3 times, and he was fighting a dude who was of similar build to me, long, used his jab, but not enough as far as I could see. And I could see he came in with his head, and that he was know what I mean? He was a tricky customer. At times he'd drop his hands down by his waist, and he's been there and done it so many times that he has no nerves. He's boxing every single week. He's making guys look bad regularly. So as far as I was concerned, if I could go in there and produce even a half decent performance in terms of not being in his ugly fight, making it my fight, making it how I want to be at my pace, then I was going to be off to a winning start. In terms of winning the fight, like he said, he'd had bloody 99 losses and 5 wins, and I don't think people really took into account the fact that he'd had over 100 fights. You know what I mean? Like, I only had 20 odd amateur fights. I'm not even close to as experienced inside the ring as he is. Whether he's experienced at losing or not, he doesn't get stopped week in, week out. Otherwise, they take his boxing license away. I have respect for every fighter. So looking at him and going into it, I imagine like I was fighting King Kong. Do you know what I mean? I expected it to be the hardest fight of my life because the nerves can soak your energy. You could literally go into a fight where you have got the beating of a guy in front of you, but your nerves will take all your energy away and won't let you perform. So I focused on staying composed and being relaxed and doing as I was told, and that was how it went smooth. That's I think why the fight turned out so smooth, and why at the end of it my coach was pleased with my performance, and people came up to me and said it was a great fight. Like, they enjoyed to watch it. So it was top start.
You hurt him a couple of times, possibly could have finished him, but probably better to get the rounds in? Yeah,
I think so. Obviously, anybody would like to get a stoppage. If I could got a stoppage in the last 30 seconds of the 6th round, that would have been the icing on the cake, do you know what I mean? But if I'm honest, I didn't really mind doing the 6. I like the idea of getting 6 rounds out in my first fight. I know a lot of fighters fight 4-rounders in their first, because it's like that transition from the amateurs to the pros. It's probably easier to go into a 4-rounder that, like, coming off of doing 3-2s or 4-2s or whatever it is you're doing, but to do 6 made me believe even more that I can do the 6, I can do it well, I'll get better as I go along. And getting a stoppage, I wasn't really too bothered about the stoppage. My coach had told me not to go in and to look for it, because if I did, then I'd end up looking bad. And that's what I think a lot of guys do with Matt Seawright. They see that he's got a load of losses and they think, I'm going to go in and blast him out. And then after 2 rounds, they haven't got him out there and they've got nothing else to do. Whereas I just built into it every single round and just put more shots together and found him with shots that we'd worked on in the gym. So I couldn't really ask for much more than that.
Second fight was in Denmark. It was also your first time abroad. What was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. Like, it was my first time even out of the country. Do you know what I mean? I've had a passport for a little while, but I've never used it. So to go over to Denmark, when my coach first put it to me, like, we're going to fight on this Sauerland show. It's like a pay-per-view show. I think her name's Cecile, I don't want to get it wrong because I sound rude, but I think it's Cecile Brackhaus. She's the welterweight women's champion. She holds every belt in her division, and she's a top dog out over there. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of her sex, you know what I mean? They love watching her. She's pay-per-view. So he said, we're going over to Denmark to fight a dude who's 14-7. I think his name was Gregory Vary, and same sort of thing. I had a little look at him. My coach, I 100% have belief in my coach's opinion of my skills and of another fighter. If he tells me that we're going to go and fight Joe Bloggs, if he does, and that this is how we're going to beat him, that's how I'm going there to box him. And I'm sure that if we get there and things change or something has to adjust on the night, then we will. But we went into it with a game plan of how we were going to box a dude, what I was going to do to box this guy. And I knew he had a decent record, 14-7. He's still winning. And like I say, I had 100% belief that I was going out there to do the business, and I believed my coach. So when we got there, and I try not to take too much into where we were. I just think it's just another fight. So once we got there and we did the weigh-in and we sat down in the hotel, it was irrelevant where we was. I just think as soon as I stand in the ring, I'm on home soil anywhere. It doesn't matter where it is, as long as there's a ring there, I'm on home soil. So that's how it went, and we got in there and done the business again.
You said it was quite a professional show with big screens and the like. What kind of an experience was that?
See, that was probably one of the more nerve-wracking parts of the fight. Do you know what I mean? go into the venue. I like to go to the venue and have a little look around before, just to soak it up when it's empty, just to know where I'm going, so that nothing is a shock when you walk into somewhere and you think, bloody hell, ain't this big? Or, you know what I mean? Places look different when the seats are empty to when they're full up. Do you know what I mean? Somewhere that's only holds 2,000 could feel like it's filled with 10,000 when there's 2,000 people cheering or clapping. So to get in there and have a good wander around the venue before, it was cool. But coming out to the fight, we were I was followed in, by a camera, led into the ring by a camera in my face, and I had to zone out from it because that was making me feel more nervous than the actual fact that I was about to have a fight. It was I've never had anything like that before. Then standing in the ring and looking up and seeing on either side bloody a screen the size of my house. It was even more weird, looking at myself. You know what I mean? It was odd, but same sort of thing. I just zone out from it. Once you get into the ring, I just have a little shake about, make sure I'm feeling loose, go over the things that we've been saying we're going to do from the get-go, stick to the basics, and when the bell goes, I just forget about everything else. The only voice I can hear in the corner is my coach.
So 2 fights into your career, it's all gone according to plan?
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't ask for anything more, man. I honestly am living a dream. I know I keep saying it, I keep echoing it, but it's the truth. I never honestly believed that I would be here where I am right now, and I don't mean as a professional, because like I say, I had the dream that I would be here as a professional, but with the way I'm feeling and the confidence that I'm feeling at the minute, and going off of the 2 performances that I've given, I'm chuffed, man. I'm chuffed with it. My coach is chuffed, my family are chuffed, my kids are happy. So life is great, mate.